Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday, February 23rd's edition of Convos with Kaz. I have an amazing guest, so let me do him justice and introduce him. Colin Drummond, often referred to as 10G Colin, has made a name for himself in the media world by working with some of the biggest celebrities, politicians, athletes, and entrepreneurs of our time. With his unique style of bringing content online and to TV, he has been nominated twice for an Emmy. With the vast knowledge he has experienced by being in the field, 10G knows how important the VRPP method is and has been to his community and his career. To help go-getters establish themselves online or make them stand out in the workplace. Some of his greatest achievements while practicing the VRPP method has enabled him to build long-lasting relationships with the likes of Oprah, Brad Pitt, Barack Obama, Dave Chappelle, George Clooney, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, just to name a few. 10G Colin is finally unveiling the tricks and tactics to help everyone become a better content creator while using only their smartphones to produce great photos, videos, and tell their story. With a skill set that includes photography, videography, and being a reporter under his belt, this has allowed him to move quickly and swiftly in the entertainment and political atmosphere and build enormous relationships. 10G Colin is the Washington bureau chief for TMZ and an expert when it comes to creating content to help people land TV segments. His experience and ability bring out emotional engagement with conversations, which we'll find today, that has helped him be sought after by clients who are looking to attract the media. As social media continues to grow, traditional media will still be there. And with 10G Colin's help, you can migrate on both platforms. Wait for it, everyone. 10G Colin has 81,000 TikTok followers, 37,000 followers on Clubhouse, including Grant Cardone and John Lee, as well as amazing other men and women and content creators around the world. Convos with Kaz community, please throw your emoji hands, your cameras, whatever kind words into the comment section and welcome my guest, Colin 10G Drummond. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, Kaz. I really appreciate it. And, love coming and showing support. In the community. I know you have something good going on, and just like I like to start seeing, the growth and being a part of other people's journey. So thank you for having me.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. And I like to tell people how just being humble helps you get some places that you didn't think you could get. And I just reached out to you. I don't know if I reached out to you on Clubhouse or IG, and
I think you just reached out to me on IG. And I was like, okay, just set it up. Don't worry about it. You said, oh, okay. and you jumped right on it. Yeah.
So I appreciate that. And I want to say that always in the beginning of conversations, in case there's someone like, how do I get to talk to people like Colin, like all the people, just reach out.
Reach out.
It's
and that's one thing. And that's something I learned early on too, is just not being scared to hear the no. And the opportunities, and sometimes the door, because a lot of times the people that you think won't do something for you or help you or just be a part of something, type of program that you have, those are the ones that do it because most people don't ask them. So
exactly, it's kind of like a street saying, "Scared money don't make money," right?
Yeah, you're right about that.
You can't be scared if you're trying to reach out to places where you've never been. So let's jump right into the deep end.
Okay.
This is a quote from you. I woke up broke, so I switched careers and taught myself photojournalism by reading free books at Barnes & Noble. I wanted to start with that because that's huge, right? There are people watching now live and people that will watch the replay and be like, wait a minute, he just stopped what he was doing and went to Barnes & Noble and picked up a book and tried to figure out what he did. So tell us, what was that realization? Like that morning when you got up, what were you thinking and how did you do it?
Well, it started from, coming from a space of, like, I don't know if I told you before, well, I've been entangled with the law at an early age and, been at a place with having, being raised by a single mom who, you know, just provided me with the best education, you know, growing up in Brooklyn, New York, in the projects. You know, I came up during a time where it was just everything was around you, and then just getting caught up in, you know what I'm saying, the atmosphere and just your surroundings, and just, you know, came home and, you know, just had a lot of love and support. But I realized, like, if I wanted to be, you know what I'm saying, at a different level, you know, I had to really just, you know, take myself there, because, you know, at that point, you're not going to, you know, having a felony, and it was something where, you know, you weren't given that opportunity. So I just decided I had to create something. And then, you know, at that point, going into a bookstore, you could read all the books for free and just study something and teach yourself. And then that's what I was able to, you know, teach myself as far as photography and, you know, just understanding journalism.
And that's some free great game right there, everyone. Because many times, and I've known people up until recently, right before we got into this pandemic, that would go into a bookstore and sit, because they have chairs in bookstores where you can sit. Comfortable,
get you a coffee and just relax and call it a, you know, and then sometimes even, you know, you come home from work and you know, you don't just want to sit there and watch Netflix or do anything. You got to grind.
Yep. So that's awesome. So yeah, if you guys are looking to learn something and trying to figure out something free, go to a bookstore one day in the middle of the day, get you a book, get you a magazine. I've seen people read entire magazines, put them down, and get another one.
Yeah.
And do it again, and then go home with no magazines. So
and it's funny. It's funny. Years later, I would go into that same bookstore, and I could go in there and pull up a stack of magazines, and I would have photos in those magazines with my name underneath it. You know,
look at God.
So that's just the change. Yeah.
How dope is that? When you're
and it's funny. I used to show the lady that used to work in there after a while, and she was so proud.
I'm excited. I can't even imagine that feeling. Right? This is the bookstore that you went into. Like, what am I about to do? And you picked up a book and you figured it out there, and then years later you went and saw your work. Like that. If that isn't a full circle moment, I don't know what is. All right, let's keep going. That's awesome. Like, for everybody that heard that, I mean, come on. Like, that's what we want to be, right? So at the end of 2021, you posted this: I come from a place where they hate to see you on top, but love to see you on the block. People of other cultures tend to imitate a culture that we are a part of. How did you learn to adapt to that, right? And tell us about how you got the name 10G.
Well, you know, it's a lot of things. I guess I give most of the praises to my mom, because she instilled a lot of qualities in me that, you know, stayed with me throughout my life, regardless what I was going through. Okay. And I think, you know, sometimes when you instill certain things in people, you know, it's manners, it's just, you know, all those things that can stick around, and then you'll pick it up even if you drift off at some point. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I think the best thing was always being humble and, you know, being respectful. And, you know, sometimes people think you just get respect. You got to give respect to get respect.
Absolutely.
And it's a big thing. And, you know, I've always tried to be around people who are going to influence me in a way from a business aspect of it. And then I started just soaking up, you know, the things that I didn't know, and I understood and just started seeing the difference. So the transition for me became a little bit easier, you know, just really watching. And I think when you come from an entrepreneurial space, those things stay with you, and then you start saying, okay, you know, and then just like in the growth of, you know, I started out as a photographer, and, you know, then I became a videographer, and then, you know, like I'll tell you how I ended up getting on with TMZ. So it's a lot of those things from
and we're going to talk transition. About that, because I know this is what I'll tell you, right? I know people are waiting to understand a couple of different things, but I'd like to go back and pull things that my guests have said, because it's important, right? People, they think when they see us out, like hanging, like I grew up in New York too, right? I grew up in Long Island. So in the summers, I would go spend some time in Brooklyn with my cousins or whatever. And, you know, everybody's playing basketball in the park.
Right.
The girls are, you know, jumping double dutch, like, really? That's what we're doing. That's why people rapped about it and sang about it, right? But they didn't really, people like that watched, they didn't want to really see that community get ahead, right? But now everybody that watched and was talking about the community, they live in that community, right?
Yeah, like, want to be a part of it.
Look,
You know,
but look how crazy Brooklyn is, right? Like we can't even afford parts of Brooklyn anymore.
Yeah, it's insane.
It is insane, but
it
that's the same community that made us.
Yeah.
Right. And look where we are. And people thought we would never make it, but now
Never,
you want to live. You want to live where
that life.
legends were made.
Exactly.
All right, I'm gonna keep it moving. So you also recently I just saw you say it's important to have a balance of social media and mainstream media, right? Because people are forgetting social media is becoming so prevalent. People are forgetting that there are papers, right? People are forgetting that there are real news outlets that have been doing this for years.
And honestly, it's at a time right now where people who are who are big in the digital space now, you know, the opportunities in mainstream are there where you couldn't get before. It was a lot of gatekeepers, you know. Now you can blow yourself up, you know, and then you could go because the prices are low, so everybody's running to digital, you know what I'm saying, to be on social media and then forgetting about mainstream media, and that's your opportunity now. So just, you know, a little something when people really want to, you know, try to get opportunities, that's when everybody's running one way, try to go to the other place, man.
Because it's still there. That other place is still there.
Yeah.
People just have forgotten about it. And now with so many, I don't want to just say young people, but young people, but even baby boomers and Gen Xers, the creativity that I believe has been birthed out of the pandemic is out of control. So I'm glad you just said that, because we want you to go back and think about the outlets that no one else has been thinking about with your ideas that you birthed. Because they're looking for people now to support them, to pay money to help them become more mainstream again.
Right, and they want to be on top still.
So what I also love is that you said, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase this, I didn't write this one down, but you saw a gap in an organization and you filled that gap and you created your space. And I know you know what I mean by that, but for everyone that's listening, you created a space at TMZ to become the Washington bureau chief. Talk to us about how you did that in an organization or a media outlet that has been historically known for not really focusing too much on politics, but on everything else that everybody wants to hear about. Right.
So the one thing I praise TMZ and Warner Brothers and, you know, Warner Media is just the opportunity that they did give me, and, you know, they let me be, you know, flourish in a way where, you know, they just liked my raw skills. And it was a time where it was a presence where, you know, they already had celebrity, we had that cornered. And if you notice, it's the one thing about what's made, and this made TMZ so great, is because they can touch all genres of, if you notice, it's a flow. You'll see celebrity stuff, you'll see political things, you'll see hip hop, you'll see reality, you'll see sports. So it's a flow. And, you know, so what I started seeing, you know, at that point where, you know, even with entrepreneurs at that point weren't real superstars like they are right now. You know, there was a time when, you know, I used to could get Elon Musk and nobody knew who Elon Musk was. So I started, you know, being able to bridge that gap and talk to those political people in Washington and tell them, you know, your brand is what's going to make you big. I said, people only know you around here. I said, as you know, nobody knows who their congressmen or senators are, you know, in the demographic that we have. And I said, you know, I can help you with that, you know, and just built that relationship. And so I brought something there that they know I was coming in. I didn't care about politics, you know. I cared about it in the sense that, you know, I knew how to, you know, be well versed with the things that were going on, but trying to be able to mesh it to, you know, making them, you know, attractable. And that was something
more mainstream.
that was mainstream. Yeah, exactly. So then that was something that just really took off.
It did. And, you know, you said something that I like to talk about, because I live in Atlanta right now, and the political climate is heating up with this gubernatorial race that we have coming up. And I'm not going to get too into politics, but I'm going to bring back what you just said about people not knowing a lot of their senators and congressmen. And then when they started to see actually what you did, and I'm just really realizing this, is that you kind of broke through something there, right? Because you started putting these congressmen and senators on blast, like by name and face.
Let me tell you something. I had one senator tell me, right? He said, I could have cured cancer and went on CNN, but just me getting on TMZ in that interview that you did with me, I had tons and dozens of people just calling me. I wouldn't have got that many calls if I cured cancer. And he just knew the power, and it's a cross collaboration, and that's what's so important. When you break somebody and you pull somebody from another audience and bring them into somewhere else where, you know, so now it helps them become popular in their neighborhood as well.
Yeah, you disrupted that space, and
yeah.
and you know, for those people that watch you and watch TMZ, they see that sometimes politicians are not happy when people get into their face, but you got black man swag. I'm gonna say that, right? So you step into it with, hey, it's all about your approach, right? We talked about that in the beginning, right? How I just said, hey, I think you're dope. I would love to talk to you, and here we are today. But you know, I was talking to one of my friends, my male friends, last night, and I was telling him, I was preparing for this conversation, I was talking about you a little bit, and I said, you know what I like about Colin? I'm gonna call you Colin. I know it's 10G, but I feel like we're friends. I said, he has completely dispelled the myth of suits on Capitol Hill for me, right? And it's you're of a generation that has changed that for the generations coming, right? Because I'm in corporate America most days, and everyone likes to wear suits, right? Like that's what they want to see. They want to see everybody in black suits and skirt suits and pantsuits and all that. But what I said to him is, I said, you dress for what you have to do, not for what is traditionally expected, and you get all my respect for that.
Yeah, and I thought about it because, you know, it's like you're not being yourself. I didn't want to have to come up there in button downs and, you know, dressed like that to fit in. And, you know, at the end of the day, I feel like when you stand out, you stand out. So if I'm amongst a ton of journalists, you know, when I get that attention, when they say I don't look like them, you know, and I don't look like them in the space, but I'm still as talented as them, I think, you know, that's something that worked. And then, you know, they ended up, you know, it was an approach at first, you know, I had to win them over. And it was something where, you know, and I tell you a strategy I actually used to win them over. This is exactly what I did. I remember when I had to first started, when it was, I said, okay, you know, there's over 500 and something congressmen and over 100 senators. So I didn't want to go and introduce myself to all of those people. I knew it was going to take a while, you know, and at that point, pull out a camera and talk, you know, they feel like, you know, it could be a gotcha moment. So it was something I said, okay, I had to really think about it. So what worked in that stage for me was just being able to tell them, listen, I went to the Washington Post and got them, they did an article on me. And what happened was they didn't really like the, you know, the way the conversation went and the you know, the information that was, because I went from a space of, you know, giving them information about celebrity and my journey and everything. But at the same time, they enjoyed it so much. So they put me on the cover of the magazine of their, so it was a big thing. So all the people in Washington, I know they see it. So it was much easier for me instead of having to go to all of them. So, you know, and then I told them my approach and, you know, just building that relationship. They know ahead of time, you know, this person is respectful. This is the type of, you know, questions they're going to talk about. And, you know, I don't have to, you know, it wasn't whether I'm going to be a Democrat or a Republican. I just want to be a journalist. I just want to humanize you. I just want to make you more relatable and just want to have conversations with you and want your constituents to know who you are. And it was a win-win situation for both of us.
And it's funny, I appreciate that, because this is the space that I create here is, you know, I talk to people that do a lot of different things. And most people are like, can you send me the questions in advance? And I'm like, I will send you the flow of what I want to discuss. Right. But I also tell people, if you don't want to talk about something, it's probably not going to come up anyway. Not going to come. Because I'm here to have conversations that are relatable to people, all people. Yeah, we get into certain things, right? Because I'm a black woman and I live, and I've had a life of a black woman, and I speak to people of, mostly I've been speaking to amazing black people this month, but in general, I speak to people. But it's about relatable conversations, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We all have a heart. We all have 2 legs and 2 arms, and we usually do the same thing. Some of us on just different levels in different industries. And you know, and the best thing about it, when you come in from that space and how you do it, is just like, it comes as just a conversation.
And, you know, the best interviews are just regular conversations. So you don't even have to, you know, it's just like you're talking to your homegirl or something like that. And let's just chop it up. And, you know, sometimes the things that when someone is more relaxed and they get in a good vibe with you and then they feel, you know, that's when they're going to say things that they didn't even know they had in their head. And just, you know, it wasn't like they came intended. It's just natural. Yeah.
It's natural. And that's what you want, right? I want people to feel comfortable in having a conversation with me because I am going to feel comfortable in having an honest conversation with them as well. I had a woman on last week. We were talking. She's all about being body conscious for curvy women. And I told her a story about something I remember that happened to me when I was playing soccer in high school in Amityville, you know, about how I felt about something. And that is, no one knew that. But I felt comfortable in this conversation because you want to relate to people. You just never know what you're going to say and how somebody's going to receive it, hopefully in a good way, to do something even better going forward. So let's talk about, I have a couple more questions. And there's one question I mentioned to you that I was going to ask, and I will. But before that, let's talk about the VRPP method. Exactly what is that? Okay, so,
you know, it's basically, it's right now it's a method of VERP. So what that consists of is right now we're at the stage in being able to create content. And the 4 pillars of creating content, you know, it's, of course, everything is big about video now. It's reporting and it's producing and then it's publishing. So the thing about it, you have to be, you know, everybody at this stage now, you have to consider yourself. You have an iPhone, you have a regular phone, you're a reporter, you're a street journalist, you know, because you at any moment you could capture something, you know, in the street or at home, and you can put it out there to the masses, and your story can be told, and, you know, on all the big channels and the networks will pick up something that you have, and, you know, people have to start understanding that. And then
the power that they have.
The power that they have. Yeah. And I think we're going in a time where a lot of business people are understanding that, you know, it's no more just showing just a commercial or an advertisement or how you want to present your company or yourself. People want to see you just raw, just being who you are and telling that story from that perspective of the visuals, reporting how you do it, and just being, you know, a part of the everyday people. And I think once you start learning to utilizing any of those 4 things, you know, you're gonna start being able to really create good content, and being a part of this generation is that we're changing right now, and everybody's on board. It's no longer just for young kids, you know. I think, you know, middle-aged people, you know, it doesn't matter what age you are right now, you know, you have a story to tell. You're your only person who's going to resonate with someone else who likes your story, and I think it's important that you start, you know, being able to understand how to use video, how to report, how to produce, and then of course you're going to publish it. So those are the you know, the type of method that I would start trying to help people understand.
Yeah, I think that's super important because, you know, I live in Atlanta, in the city, and sometimes I just step outside and I see things and I'm like, I could record this right now and no telling where this is going to go. But I also don't want a lot of feedback and followers from certain things either, right? Because I do believe that God has given me an assignment to do certain things. So when I see a lot of things, I'm like, that's not the way.
But you know what though? But this is the thing. It doesn't have to necessarily be a story on, you know, just say violence or, you know, abuse or anything. I'm gonna give you a prime example. On my TikTok, I literally was walking. I was on Capitol Hill, and the president's vehicles were coming out.
Oh, I was going to use that as a question.
And you see it, I just pulled my phone out, regular, across the street, boom, took 10 seconds of a video, put the clip together, story told it in a way where you could see it, and then the caption just asked people, and that's 8 million views.
8.4.
8.4 million views, right?
We're going to talk. That's one of my rapid fire questions.
Yeah,
so
I could have literally got President Biden out of that car and did an interview with him and not have gotten more views than that got.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, wow. And for those of you that want to know what he's talking about, I'm going to get to it in the Kaz's cookie. It's actually pretty interesting. But no, I get that. that you help me realize what that looks like, right? It's not just getting somebody doing something crazy.
Right.
It's just making really like information. It's kind of like making people like, because I was like, I want to know. So thank you for that. I'm all about a course correction or helping me understand how I can fit my lane into certain things. So before we get into the Cas Quickie, let's talk about you. You're always on Capitol Hill, right? That's what you do. You're the Washington bureau chief for TMZ. January 6th. Were you out there that day?
Yeah, I was in the midst of it. I was, I saw what was happening. At first, initially it wasn't going to be a big thing. It was just, and being up on Capitol Hill, you see a lot of protests, you see a lot of marches, but never, did we think it was going to be at the magnitude that it kind of, came about. But when I saw how, the people were acting in a way, they were passionate about it.
I was going to ask you, at what point did you realize this is going left and it's going way left?
Oh, when I started seeing them and walking with them, like, cause I was literally walking with some of them. Cause I was, when they were, coming up on there and getting, and then you started hearing them and it was just like, man, this shit got stolen. And this, so you start, it was people they believe what they want to believe, but they were passionate, regardless whether they were right or wrong. They were passionate about what they were doing and they really believed it. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. And, and you started seeing, I was like, whoa, this is starting to turn just like, crazy.
Yeah.
And, at that point, I never, until I literally started seeing them climbing up there. And then, I started seeing everything being breached. I was like, whoa.
Did you do any type of capturing? Did you do any, photography? Like, have you created something?
Yeah, we have a lot of content from that. Because, I was able to, see it and, do it in a way where it's not, say straight out, like, asking interviews, but just capturing the whole, that part of that day. And just how mad, even to the point where they started, like, they turned on certain journalists and just started bashing their cameras and just going crazy in a way.
I saw that. So how did you stay away from that?
I know how to move, and what I'm saying, how to,
from Brooklyn?
Yeah. So at the time, when you're in the moment of working and that adrenaline, you're getting to that point where you're not even thinking. I'm saying, you think safety, but you're also you're thinking of the being great at what you do at this moment. You'll never be able to be in this type of atmosphere, this moment again. So it was a once in a lifetime, and just you don't even think about it, and that's usually the best way, because sometimes when you start thinking about it, you start saying, okay, maybe I don't need to go over here, or maybe I need to not cover this, or your
spidey senses are like, wait a minute.
Yeah, you don't know when it's time to get out of something at some point.
I don't need to walk all the way up there and hear the conversation.
Right, yeah, right.
I kind of got the gist of what's going on based on people rushing up.
Yeah.
So I want to say this, two things, right? I'm glad that a Black man was able to report on what that looks like, right? We saw a lot of that through your eyes, so thank you for that, and I'm glad that you stayed safe. And you're able to talk about that, right? Because there's not many. You again saw a niche. You saw a gap, and you filled that. And because of that, you reported on a piece of history that is going to be talked about forever, unless they try to do what they did with the critical race theory.
And not only that, we broke one of the biggest stories out there when that breach happened. And a lot of time, and in the beginning, people weren't sure, and that they had to start quoting us, and we had a big, one of the stories from.
Let me go ahead and talk about TMZ for a little bit, right? Okay. I have my feelings about it, but what I will say is that when something goes down, I'm like, did TMZ confirm it? Like when Michael Jackson died, I'll never forget. I was working out in my office gym in DC, and I was like, if TMZ said it, it's real. Right. Even with recently, I'm not even gonna say, because I don't even know if you guys confirmed this, so I'm not gonna go there. But my point is that how we started talking about the different lanes that TMZ is in, right? Even though all those lanes, there's credit there, and I think people see that even more with this conversation with you being out there on the political side of the house, and how that has given TMZ a lot more credibility too, because you're talking to people that are making laws, that are changing laws.
And I tell you, if you look, one of the biggest people up there, Congresswoman AOC, Alexandria Ocasio, if you look in one of her tweets, she even tweeted out, she said, I know y'all gonna say something, but it's one media outlet who really gets it. And she said, and it's TMZ. She said they don't get it. They know the type of questions to ask that can pertain and help people, you know. And that's, you know, that's something we've been doing, is just bringing, you know, even though we don't dig so deep into the politics side, but what we do is we humanize certain issues. And
make it mainstream,
and make it mainstream.
You give people, you know, it's like, how do you eat an elephant, right? Piece by piece. And that's what you guys are doing. And I just want to give you a shout out. My mom, who is 72, just said he and TMZ broke that story. So my mom, and my mom and dad sit in front of they're retired, right? So they got plenty of time, but they watch TV, they watch news all day. Yeah. So for them to say that, my mother to say that, that's big.
And that's when we started getting a lot of props too. Yeah. All other outlets started realizing, like, you know, it's a game changer.
It is, and I'm just happy that you made that space, because before you, let's be honest, and let's let the people know, before you, there was no Washington bureau chief for TMZ.
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And how long have you been in that position?
I've been in for a couple of years now, and you know, I've been at, you know, in the beginning with TMZ for over 13, 14 years.
I remember seeing you on TMZ in the newsroom every now and then, right?
Yeah.
And then I noticed that you were just more on the political side of the house. So it's nice to see your glow up there and finding a niche that really works. I'm hoping that you are also bringing the next generation up with you.
Oh yeah.
Doing that too.
Yeah, we continuously, and I think the beauty of what they, you know, they've always, that's one thing I can say, they've just allowed me to really create. And I think sometimes when you have, and this goes for many people in companies and stuff like that, when you have raw talent, sometimes raw talent can be your biggest asset, because they're not going to just go by book smart and just going it the traditional way. And everybody who's tried it and done it the same way, and it's just, you know, it's just rote learning, where you can get somebody and then they can just break down doors from a different, you know, view, and other people can see, or you can kind of, you know, find out a different angle, how to get into, you know, something new, and, you know, something that the people like. And a lot of times, and then, you know, most of the time, like, I still stay, you know, in the streets and really understand it, because I don't never want to, you know, give up that edge of finding out what's next and what's happening, and, you know,
that's how you stay current.
Create.
You stay ahead of it. Yeah,
exactly.
You know, it's funny. I'm gonna give TMZ its props, because like I said, I give them a lot of ish, but they are doing a lot of groundbreaking stuff. If you really look beneath the surface of the stories, because one of the things you said is, like, you know, there are a lot of people out here that are not professionals at what they do. And what TMZ does is they bring people in, right, for segments to give their opinion or talk on things, which I thought is really cool. And I've seen people I know from, like, around the US, and I'm like, oh, I know her, I know him. And I think that's really, I like that.
Yep. Because and you got to think about, even like we're on live right now. You know how long ago we were doing live, and even though we have a live TV show now, we've been doing it before it was even broke, before that even broke, doing live and letting people get on and things like that. So yeah, we've been cutting edge from the beginning.
That's real, and I don't think a lot of people know that, right? Because they catch it from the one side that they look at.
One side,
right?
Yeah, but it's good. That's how it is when you know. And I really understand that, because, you know, if you don't, like, when you're on top of certain things and you don't, like, you know, people kind of despise something about you, you're not doing your job good enough. So sometimes it's always good to have that, and then it keeps you sharp. And then I think, you know, if you look at the greatest, if you look how many haters LeBron has, you know what I'm saying, because he's great. He is when I say, I'm gonna tell you my best experience with being in this field and in this business. And I tell this to so many, like, young kids when I speak to them, when they ask me about, like, different celebrities or pop. I said, I remember this will always stick with me, and this helps me. This always motivates me. It was one time, it was around, and it was the summertime, it was during a playoff game, and LeBron was playing against the Wizards in DC. And what happened was, they were, it was like 90 degrees out there, and the Miami Heat, they were going to practice, and they went to practice. And most of the team, when they go to practice, the team bus, they get on early. All the players get on. So it was a lot of people getting autographs out there. So we was waiting for the bus to come back, right? And that's when most people get up and, before they go into the hotel. And I'll be damned if here goes a dude coming down the block, jogging, two people jogging, Ray Allen and LeBron James in a 95-degree heat, right?
Wow.
They're jogging, and the rest of the team is on the bus.
On the bus. But that goes to tell you their dedication, right?
After that
and
dedication,
why LeBron is who he is.
Going the extra yard, a superstar, at the highest level. And he's taking an extra step, to make his game better and to make his longevity in the league. Which
is why when his son comes in the game, they're going to be killing it.
Oh, yeah.
before he leaves the game. They're going to kill it for a good season.
Yeah.
No, that's actually a really dope story. So I appreciate that. And I'm so glad. I know there's more and more people that are coming in because we're talking about some really, really good, some good information here. So if there are people on here that have some questions, please throw your questions in here, but kind of go while I'm waiting for anybody to throw a question in here. Before we move into the next, Kaz's Quickie, you were talking about, when you're doing things, you get people that are haters, right? We had one or two of them in here, and I just kind of glanced over what they were saying because, what's the saying? Women that make history, something about really are well behaved or something like that, right? You have to be a disruptor in order for people to pay attention. You have to be a disruptor in order to make moves and change and shake the ground.
Right.
And I'm going to say that you're one of those people because you stepped into a space. And let me take it a step further, right? You stepped into a space with TMZ. You made a space as becoming the Washington bureau chief for TMZ in a political environment, which we don't see a lot of we weren't before seeing a lot of minority legislators, and now we are. So you stepped into a whole space where you had to bet on yourself, and you had to figure out how you, as a black man with a bald head, wearing your Jordans and your jeans, could step up and make people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And
but you know what? The one thing I will say too, though, and it's not getting comfortable because like how I started out as a photographer, and then once I started realizing the game was changing, I started learning how to do video. But while everybody, at this point, we were making tons of money as a photographer, shooting celebrity photos. But I saw the game changing. So then I moved over and learned how to do video. And once I seen this space in video, and then I said to be an asset to the company and do other things, I started learning how to be a reporter, how to produce, and do all that. So it's just a lot of times it's just not getting comfortable in what you do. And even if you're good at what you do, try to, once you feel comfortable in that space, start learning something else. And that's the same thing like on these different platforms. Like I'm a year in on social media. This is I've never, not until last year when I got on Clubhouse did I ever do social media. Wow. I was always played the backseat. I didn't think it was nothing. I couldn't make any money on air. I'm not interested. I want to report and just do all that other stuff. I didn't want to be in front of the camera. I didn't want to do, but what I realized with, coming in these spaces and listening to people, and it was a point where I knew I could help other people by sharing certain things of them getting ahead, whether creating media and understanding how to use, if they're talented, how to get into the media spaces, how to create headlines. And so that was my goal as far. But once I got on here and got on the platforms, I started saying, well, I can really, just learn it and really just immerse myself in studying and understanding. And you see, like even getting on TikTok, I'm a middle-aged man. I'm 53 years old. I'm getting on no damn TikTok. And
you're on Pinterest.
And then, right. I said, you know what? I'm going to learn this. I'm going to do this. And, it's just something, because the thing about it, even if you're not going to do so many things and you have a team of people who are going to work with you, you still should understand it yourself. Because the reason why nobody can't BS you when it comes to what they're doing, and you paying somebody to half-assing you and do. No, I know how this go now. This is what we need to do. This is what we. And when you learn all of these platforms, you know, it's going to help you become much better and achieve that goal that you're going to push toward.
Yeah, it's. I'm here smiling because I just had a conversation with one of my good friends who actually put, it's well-behaved women rarely make history, right? So I'm not trying to be well-behaved because I want to make some history, but it's about being comfortable, right? I'm smiling because I'm really comfortable in this space and having these conversations, but I need to be uncomfortable and do some different things. So I'm going to talk to you offline about some other things. But this has been a great conversation. We're over time, but we're going to do this Kaz quickie really quick.
Okay.
Are you ready? Are you ready? It's going to be
go.
fun.
Shoot. Let's go.
Let's see how fast, because sometimes I ask a long question. It might be hard. Okay. Who was the person that you met, that you interviewed, that made you fan out in public or private?
Beyonce.
What's your cat's name?
Coco.
What's your favorite song written before 2000?
Anything Jay-Z.
Black or white photos?
Black.
I didn't mean that. Color or black or white photos?
Color.
Okay. If you can go anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Hawaii. Never been to Hawaii.
What is the social media platform you like the least?
YouTube. But I'm going to master it.
I'm working on YouTube too.
That's where the action is.
Nas or Biggie?
Biggie.
Who's your favorite person, living or dead?
My mom.
I love that. Okay, so you've had conversations with lots of people. Who was the one person that you thought the conversation was going to be wild, but it actually was civil and nice?
That's a good one. You got me on that.
Okay, we can come back to that. We'll come back to that. How many photos do you think you've taken in your career?
Over 50,000. Over 50,000. 100,000.
If you could keep one photo out of the 50,000 photos, which one would it be?
I took a Beyonce photo with. This is the only photo I ever deleted. Can I tell you a story? She was coming out of Sony studio. She was dressed down, super down. Just, you wouldn't believe it was Beyonce. So I got a couple photos. Then about her bodyguard was saying something, and she came over to me. She said, "Can you delete that photo?" She said, "And I promise you tonight, I know you're gonna work on me tonight. I'll give you the best photos." I never do that. You know what I did? I deleted them for her. Deleted the photos. Yep. And she gave me the exclusive photos later on that night.
Relationship building. And you kept it real. She was honest with you, right?
Yep. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you a trick about it too, though. And I never did it too. When you delete a photo on your camera, on your SLR, as long as you don't shoot again, you can go back and get those photos. And I didn't do it. I just deleted them.
You were honest with it, and that's why you are where you are, right? Honesty got you further than not being honest. Let's jump right back into this. What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Strawberry. Who's
your favorite TMZ colleague?
Charlie.
Okay, shout out to Charlie. If your assignment was to do a documentary on one person or group living today, and it would span for 10 years, so a documentary that started today in 2020 and ended actually 11 in 2033, who would it be?
Dave Chappelle.
Hey. Here, we're going to come full circle to everybody that's been here the whole conversation. What is the answer to the TikTok video that has 8.4 million views?
He was in the second car.
Would you get married on the metaverse?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna get married at, in the metaverse.
Lakers or Wizards?
Lakers. Neither. Brooklyn Nets.
Okay. We'll take that. Did you buy the vacuum?
No. Didn't want to spoil it. She didn't sell me on it.
That question, everyone, because you got to follow people that you were really interested in learning about, and he knew the answer because he knew what I meant. So thank you for that. And then here's the very last question for you: when you wake up on the 364th day of 2022, what is going to be your response in the mirror when asked, "What did you accomplish towards leaving your life legacy?"
That I thought about really, like, this year I wanted to dedicate as far as doing a lot with my family members and really getting them in a space of, really earning and being their own, teaching them how to be a boss in a way where they're going to start their own businesses. And I got a lot of young family members, and that's the only ones I concentrate on now. I'm just really all for them and just really want to see, because I got some good entrepreneurs. And I think when you learn at an early age, it stops you and you won't have to make those mistakes later on. And I think we're at a time in society where, it's no more gatekeepers. You don't have to, if you want to be in entertainment business, you can live in Idaho and you could, start doing reels, and you can start doing, and you could become talented and show off your talent. And I think, our generation now, when they have someone that's going to show them that way, it can shortcut a lot of things. And that's my main goal.
That's dope. That's I love it. I love it. So to everyone that is watching, I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with my guest, Tenji Colin. He told us you dropped some gems here, right? Starting from, you woke up one morning and was like, what am I about to do? And you stepped into Barnes & Nobles and figured out how to be a photojournalist, right? How to be a photographer, to making a space that was not there, becoming the Washington bureau chief at TMZ, leading the way, creating a path, to also being humble and relatable to politicians and making them relatable to the mainstream audience over on TMZ. You talked about watching people on January 6th and how you saw that they believed in something, although it could be what it was, and how you watched from afar and stayed away because you saw what they were doing to people that were out there just trying to report on what was going on, to deleting a photo of one of your favorite people because they generally asked that you not do something to their brand, and it paid off for you, to not buying a vacuum from your daughter. So I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm absolutely humbled by you just saying yes to a quick DM about joining Convos with Kaz. And to everyone out there, you're gonna blow up.
You're gonna blow up. And if it's nothing else, it's the one thing. And I tell, if it's anything I could give a jewel and gem for people to do, is just watch people that are talented, that have not gotten that chance. And when you help them and you see the difference, and later on, that's the gem. There was this one congressman who was just cool up on Capitol Hill, and I just liked him. His vibe was cool, and I just always try to get him on our show and just do interviews that, really think. And right now, he works in the White House. He's the senior advisor to the president, and it's a relationship I built with him from way before just believing in them early. And, those are those relationships. So when you see somebody that's talented, help them. They're going to blow up.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
I'll be in DC next month, so let's try to break bread, have a drink or something. I would love to meet you in person. And to everybody watching, I hope this was just as amazing. I'm like sitting here like tingling, like excited. I hope this conversation was just as informative and amazing, and it really inspires you to go out there and take a chance. Colin, my friend.
Thank you, Kaz. Keep doing it.
Thank you so much.
Keep doing it.
Thank you. You guys have a great night.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.